So I'm here and I want to talk to you about what happened at my group reading event that I hosted today. This weekend I tried to host a speed dating event for local singles in the area. It was a success as far as I can tell because I was able to connect people who were mutually interested in others. Now, I initially wanted to hold it as a 2 day event, and I had to cancel gay day because I got no response. I sold like 2 tickets, so there was no purpose even holding the event. Refunded those tickets, and I had this open day that I'd rented the Elks Lodge here in Littleton. So I decided yesterday afternoon to host a by donation spirit gallery. Just come and pay whatever you can, and I'm going to do my thing. Whenever I do my thing in front of a crowd, in front of a group, I always try to keep it as lighthearted as possible. I want to, laugh and love as much as I can, and sometimes it gets heavy. This one was a particularly heavy one. But I want to talk to you about the lessons and the wisdom that came through during this event because I think it's going to help you get through this world. All right. So, from this morning, the event was at 3 o'clock, and since this morning, I've had 2 gentlemen in my head. The first ones that came through this reading. The first one was a very good man. He was a very good man. He was a grandfather, and he had his grandson there. Now, the grandson died of a drug overdose. And here's where they were coming from. The grandfather brought his grandson up, and the grandfather was talking about what a good man he was. A man of hard work, a man of integrity, a man of honor with a capital H. Very important for him. He was concerned about what other people thought about him and his family, and it was all about honor and being a good person. His grandson was not. His grandson was selfish. His grandson just didn't have the opportunity to get to that point in life where he could see that his actions would cause pain in the lives of other people. And he took himself out of this world through negligence, and because of that, his mother, the grandfather's daughter, was in this world blaming herself. She had nothing to do with her son's passing, didn't cause it, didn't contribute to it, nothing. But here she was beating herself up, hurting herself. Here's what happens when we die, and you got to know this. We all go through a life review. We get to see how much we intentionally hurt people, and we get to see how our actions cause pain in the lives of others. We also get to see how our good deeds helped other people. Now, this gentleman, the grandfather, was very happy because he had a life of honor and he did good things and raised good people. He kept telling me that his grandson, who was like a newborn in spirit, brought shame to the family. Not only did he bring shame, but through his actions now, his mother is hurting and blaming herself. And the child was responsible for it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. And that was tough because the grandfather was very much about a man being accountable for his actions. Like, when you're a man and you mess up, you own up and you show up to fix your mistake. You don't deny it. You don't blame it on somebody else. You fess up, you own up, and you fix it. That's what a man does. Like, this is all happening in front of an audience. And I'm eventually connected to the sister of this mother. So this was a nephew and her father. And essentially saying, hey, like I had to ask her to go pass this message on to her sister. Like, please go pass this message on to your sister. Like, you're not responsible for this. So the session started out talking about like what a good man is. And I use quotation marks around good, but like what a healthy man is. And like I bounce across the audience and I channel different spirits. And this was like probably the highlight of my evening. There was a woman who came through and she had a lot of relationships when she was in this world. She liked men, and she was with a lot of men in life. Now, by society standards, they would have called her a hussy or, awful words like that. And she didn't see it like that. She saw herself as somebody who was literally doing God's work. She was bringing love to people. So when she passed away, she didn't have to own up to hurting anybody. She actually got to see the love she brought to people. And it was very important because, we do live in that world still of that double standard where the man who sleeps around is the stud and the woman who sleeps around is the slut. That's just the patriarchy. But this woman came through and was like, yeah. And she was a sister to a woman who was there. The woman was like, yeah, she knew a lot of men. And, and I was like, well, she was very happy with her life because she offered love. She brought love. She didn't hurt anybody. So when she's in spirit, she doesn't have to suffer. She doesn't have to look at those actions of how she hurt people. And she gets to look at the past in her life and how she loved people. And I loved that reading. Now I go through the audience and I get pulled to different people and I'm channeling different spirits, and I end up on a husband who's I end up with a husband in spirit who was mean his entire life. He was angry, he was mean, he sat in a recliner, he yelled at the news, he verbally and emotionally abused his family, never physically, and his wife was there. And I had to keep telling her, and it was funny because he just kept coming through to me and he was like, I love the morphine. I love the morphine. Thank you for the morphine. Thank you for the morphine. And he had cancer when he was passing. And what the woman told me was that he had an issue with drugs. He didn't want to be high. He didn't want to take drugs. So when he was on hospice had left her with morphine and, those types of things to give him. And he was very grateful. And she was relieved by that because she thought he would have been upset that he got the drugs because he didn't want to get the drugs. But when he got them, it actually brought the pain down and he was able to breathe a little bit. But this man was in spirit owning up to his shitty behavior because his shitty behavior was still affecting the people that he loved right now. He was watching this. The one thing that he did tell his wife, because his wife tolerated the worst of him, loved the best of him. This is how she got through her life. And he called her out on it. And he was like, you loved the best of me. You put up with the worst of me. And now you're in a place of grace. You gave me grace while I was alive. Which means this is wild stuff, you guys. He was in less pain because she was in less pain. Because she gave him grace. She could have been the woman who was resentful and hurtful and damaged, and instead she had worked through it and gave herself grace, gave him grace, and he was in a better place for it. Now, what does this show us? Okay, and this is the point, and this is where I want to talk to you about this. I am learning a lot constantly about the afterlife and where we go when we pass, but here's one of the things that you need to know. The people who intentionally hurt others in this life, they never get away with it. They might get away with it here, but they're not getting away with it there. And I want to show you how this works. So I'm going to use some visual aids, and I just want to talk again to these big spiritual concepts. Here's our soul. If this little Herkimer diamond, this crystal, represents our divine soul, each of us has this. But what is our soul? Okay. This is kind of a big concept for you. We all come from the same place. This part of us, our soul, is like a part of divinity. Now, you can call this whatever you want. God, I don't really prefer the term God, but that's what most people nowadays call it. Love, universe, it's like divinity, spirit, consciousness broke off into trillions of pieces. These pieces, and incarnated to forget itself so it could remember itself. I don't say him, I don't say her, I say it, because it's non-gendered. Interestingly, your soul, non-gendered. I know, your physical body's gendered, but this isn't. when you come into life, you start to get programmed and hurt. So, here's parents and here's school and advertising and all sorts of shit. We all get exposed. And all of this, and I'm using tarot cards to illustrate this becomes our ego, our identity, or what's called id. This is how we see the world. This was what makes me Josh. I have a different part of me that's not Josh, that sits underneath the role I'm playing here. Now, in this part of me, and my brain and my ego and my identity, there's all the things that my parents did and didn't do, society taught me, all sorts of things here. And I think the spiritual path is working through this and how this messed us up so we can get to the beauty of what we are here. Not everybody does that. And there's a lot of things that people experience that will cause them to hurt other people. Hurt people. So the gentleman who was upset that he had hurt his kids and hurt his wife, he was upset at this part of him. This part of him was upset at this part of him. Because he still had a choice. We all know right and wrong. People will justify their shitty behavior for all sorts of reasons. But we all never lose this. Not completely. Nobody ever loses it completely. It can get buried and get lost, but we never lose it completely. So when we die, we go through a life review and we look at how our parents messed us up, our religion messed us up, all that stuff, and we kind of get back to this. Now, when we get back to this is my version of this is like your version of this, and we feel each other. So when we get back to this is the part of us that can hurt, because just like that child who took himself out of this world and was watching his mother hurt, it's this part of him that carried over, and he can go, sorry, I don't want to ramble. The grandfather was like, I came from a different generation. He came from a different generation. So the grandfather didn't have the opiates, didn't have all that. But it had a little bit of hard work, different culture, different upbringing. But that kid, there was a part of him that is standing in horror as his mother is blaming herself. When we pass away, we see how much we helped and loved. When we pass away, we see how much we hurt, especially intentionally. And I'm going to talk about some big topics here. All the monstrous billionaires and rich people on the Epstein files who abused children and women. Guess what's going to happen to them when they pass? They're going to experience every bit of that pain. They are going to go into this part. They're going to go into that story. They're going to see what pain they caused. And then they're going to see it. They're going to watch it. They're going to experience it from that person's perspective. And they are going to feel that pain. I don't have any control over this. And I don't mean to use these harsh words. The people who rape in this world, they experience the other side of it when they pass. Because they go through that life review. And that's what that part is. So if you're a good person and you're leading a good life and you're helping people, you don't have much to worry about. If you're not, though, and you're intentionally hurting people and causing pain, you might want to fix it. You might want to apologize and do whatever you can, because you're going to experience that when you pass. It's just what happens. I can feel bad for it, but maybe that's the only way we learn, is seeing how our actions affect the lives of others. See, and this is the difference between the grandfather and the grandson. The grandfather was somebody who somehow had become a man and knew his actions affected the lives of other people. And that child, no matter how old he was, he didn't get the opportunity to bring it to the world. He didn't get the opportunity to see how his actions were going to affect his mother and the people around him. He didn't get an opportunity to mature. So that part of him hurts. And one of the reasons that is because we are not living in a society that really focuses on raising men into, like, boys into men. It's unfortunate. So, with that being said, if you are worried about people in this world getting away with pain and terror and trauma, just wait until they die, because one day they will, and they'll never escape what they did to another human. None of us do, good, bad, or otherwise. So all my love to you. Take care of yourself, and remember that, and just keep on being a good and helpful person. You'll see the effects of that when you pass. If you're a bad person and you're hurting people intentionally, you'll see that as well. So sit with that. All my love to you, and make sure you take care of yourself.